Good afternoon, everybody. It is 3:30 and it is time to start today's installment of the Ohio Purple Star Town Hall. My name is Chip Merkel and I work with the Ohio National Guard Youth Program. I do education outreach. I would like to take care of a little bit of housekeeping just to remind everybody, please make sure that you have your mic on mute and your video off. That way we can do the best job that we can in preserving network quality for our presenters. Also, if you have any questions, please make sure that you put those in the chat box. Just a little bit of history about the Purple Star here in Ohio. We currently have 370 Purple Star schools, and that number will soon rise once the new class has been announced come April. So just to let you know how we're doing here in Ohio, it's going strong, and I hope that everybody else is in your respective states is doing well also. From this point on, I'd like to turn the presentation over to Chad Wien, who is our moderator today. And Chad is the superintendent of Mad River Schools in Dayton, Ohio, just right outside the gates of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. He's also on the Purple Star Advisory Board and a member of the MIC3 State Commission here in Ohio. So, Chad, it's all yours.
All right, thank you, Chip, and welcome everybody. Today's topic for our meeting is best practices and challenges for Purple Star schools. Again, my name is Chad Wien. I'm the superintendent for Mad River Local Schools, and we are located right outside the gate of one of the largest installations in the United States for the Air Force, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. I've been fortunate to be part of Ohio MIC3 for the last 8 years, and I'm also part of NAFIS, which I know some of you may be part of or associated with due to the federal impact that we have. We have federal lands, and then we also have military impacted students. So we receive 7002 and 7003 dollars, and spend a lot of time in DC lobbying our legislators to continue with that federal funding. So I'm deeply immersed in the military life here. As you know or may not know, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is an active duty base, but it is also one of the largest installations where you have non-military working on base. It's a big civil service base. So about 20,000 people that work on base are civil service members, and about 10,000 are active duty. With me today, I have Michelle Lewis, and Michelle is a French and Spanish teacher at Hyatt's Middle School in the Olentangy School District. That's in central Ohio, close to Columbus, and it's one of the largest school districts in the state of Ohio. And Hyatt's earned the Purple Star designation in 2017 in round 2, and she's also the military family liaison for her school district. She also serves on the Military Interstate Children's Compact Commission for the state of Ohio and the Purple Star Advisory Board for the Ohio Department of Education. In addition, she is the editor-in-chief of Ohio's Purple Star Bulletin, a volunteer with the USO, and a mother of a USAF veteran. So, Michelle, welcome. And then also with me today is Bill Kerrigan. Bill is a primary school principal in the Copley-Fairlawn Local School District, located outside of Akron, Ohio, and his school received their Purple Star certification in 2020. So welcome, Bill. We have a couple prompts today we'll walk through, and then we'll have time for questions at the end. The two school districts that I'm going to speak to today and we'll have a conversation with in regards to best practices and challenges are unique in the sense that they really don't serve an active duty base. In the state of Ohio, we call the students located in their school districts more of the hidden military child. So Purple Star means a lot to these two school districts because it brings to light the students that are military impacted within their school districts in their individual buildings. So oftentimes we call those students the hidden military child because they're more related to the Guard or Reserve bases than they are the active duty bases. So the first question or prompt I have today for my two panelists is, being a Purple Star school is a big deal in the state of Ohio. It's celebrated. It's one of the biggest honors that we have to celebrate our military families. And today we have two different school districts represented who will be able to share with you their approach to their individual building best practices in order to support their military impacted students and families while being inclusive of the entire school district. These schools represent two of the best in Ohio. So first of all, Michelle, would you like to share the best practices currently in place in your school and or district and any future best practices being discussed?
Chad, I'm not sure that Michelle's with us. I'm not seeing her in the participants.
Okay. I can move on to Bill. Similar question. Just curious about the type of military students and families that you are serving in Copley-Fairlawn. And then what are some of the best practices that you have in place to support your students and families in Copley-Fairlawn?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to say thank you so much for the invite. And you're right, we are at the other spectrum. Just a quick background, probably about 3 years ago, I know that Purple Star had a meeting at Copley High School. I did attend that. At that time, we were not a Purple Star school. And I was just really moved. I mean, just hearing some of the military kids speak and some of the military families was just really moving. I felt I needed to be a part of it. I am not from a military family or have the military background, but I'm so happy that we are part of it. It was interesting listening to Dr. Myers the last couple of days, just of her background. We're right down the road from Jackson. We're about 30 minutes down Route 8. And her background it's just really impressive. And like I said, it's moving, seeing what individuals and families have to go through. But here at Copley, we do have 3 elementary schools. I'm the principal at Herbert. Herbert is the only Purple Star school currently. We do have 3 identified families that the parents are serving active duty. So our numbers are definitely small. What we first did for our best practice, we have a program, and I'm sure many of our schools do, it's Dazzle, and it's where we receive student information. Every year our parents update that, and there is a section there whether they are in active duty in the military. To start the year, we do get that list, and based off of that list, I do go over that list. We have a Purple Star committee here at Herbert. Everyone on the committee actually has a relative or a spouse in the service. So what we do is we go through those names, and then we reach out to those families just to let them know that we're here. If they would need anything, we let them know that on our website there are resources through Purple Star, and just really offer our services.
Bill, I appreciate you sharing that. And I think that's one thing maybe, sometimes people forget, and especially in the state of Ohio, where it's the law now that we have to identify our military subgroup as part of our population. So being able to extract that list from Dazzle is a great opportunity to quickly and easily identify your students who are military impacted. And I appreciate you putting the committee together just to provide an opportunity for outreach to families and resources and those type of services. Again, it's interesting for me to always hear from those districts that don't serve an active military base, because for me, we're so immersed in the culture. It's just part of what we do in matter of our local schools, versus districts where the impact looks a little bit different, or the child is a little bit more hidden than they are here, where they're very visible on a daily basis. Welcome, Michelle. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're able to join. And I'm going to go back to you. So the prompt, Michelle, for the first question that I had was, being a Purple Star school is a big deal in the state of Ohio. And today we have yourself and we have Bill representing 2 different school districts who are able to share their approach to their individual best practices to support their military impacted students and families while also being inclusive of the other students within their school or their school district. So, Michelle, would you like to talk and share with us the best practices you currently have in place in your school and in your district, and any future best practices being discussed?
Well, thanks a lot, Chad. Sorry I was a little late in here, and I'm having a problem with the audio. I can barely hear you guys, so that's why I'm kind of like straining. I've got mine turned up, but I don't know what's going on. I'm very happy to be here. Best practices. Probably one of the best things that we have going in my school at Hyatt's, and this is something that's going in all of our schools. We all have different groups where we meet with our students. I know that in Liberty Middle School, where one of my colleagues is, Jason meets with his students on a regular basis. I meet with my children once a month, and we call our group Hyatt's Military Kids. And it's a time for them to be able to get together and to actually see that there are other kids who are military impacted. So just like what Bill was saying, in a suburban district like Olentangy, we don't have a base. We're not like you, Chad. We don't have a base out the back door there. We have a lot of guardsmen, reserves, etc. So it really is eye-opening for a lot of the kids when they get together, especially the first time, the beginning of the school year, and see, wow, there really are other kids just like me. And I think that's probably the single best practice that we have, are having these regular groups. My group I call Hyatt's Military Kids, and one of the things that, another thing that we've done is I have a co-advisor with me, and that would be Mr. Rich Doherty, who is a Vietnam era veteran. And he is a veteran who has volunteered in our district for over 20 years. And when I was discussing the possibility of taking a field trip with my kids before COVID, I was trying to find some funding because, again, I just wanted to do something different, give them a chance to bond. And I talked with him. He helped me secure funding to be able to take my kids to the National Veterans Memorial and Museum, and for us to all go out to lunch. So I see a thing here. What types of things do we do in the meetings? Well, I usually start off my meetings. I ask them to tell me something good. That's how we start off our meeting. Tell me something good. Everyone shares something. And people will share a new status. I found out one of my kids, her dad is already PCS. The family is going to be PCSing in June. So, but what's really wonderful for me is we have this time, we chat. We always have breakfast together. So I bring them in bagels. But I've got my co-advisor, Mr. Doherty, and he brings in all types of memorabilia. And the kids love him. He's like a grandfather. Well, they call me grandma, but a couple of them. But he, I guess, would be the great grandfather. And he brings in all types of things from different eras and shares them with the kids. They ask him questions. He and I meet usually monthly, and we discuss, things to be able to talk about in the meeting, things that he would like to share. In an upcoming Purple Star Bulletin, which should be coming out any day now, I've got an article about Rich and some of the stuff that he does. But the point of that is that we have all these community resources like that will help us on Veterans Day, but my veteran is willing to help me any time of the year. He's been at every meeting since 2019. So, and he accompanied us on the field trip, and he helped me get funding. So that's probably just the fact that we are involved in the community, which leads me to the community involvement. One thing that we have in Olentangy that I'm involved in, did not start, but I'm involved in, is our Olentangy Military Families Committee. And that is something that was started by one of my colleagues. He sent out an email, and this is something anybody can do. 1 August before school started, he sent out an email wanting to know, hey, would anybody like to get together and try to involve the community, see what's going on, what can we do for our military families, see how we can get the community involved. So I responded. At the time, I was a USO volunteer and also the mother of a active duty Air Force gentleman, my son. And so that's how we started our Olentangy Military Families Committee. We had groups of community members who have a vested interest in the military, and it just started growing. We would have Military One Source came in and spoke one time. We had, who's Teresa Ferrari's group? Ohio Military Kids came in and talked to our group. So I talked to the group about the USO. We have another community member who offers free dental treatment to veterans. And he came in and talked to the group. So it's another time for us to be able to share resources and go beyond our schools and actually be involved in the community. So that's what I really think that our district has done well, is keeping keeping a pulse on what's going on in the community, because, we aren't in the same situation. We aren't on a base. We don't have the family readiness groups or anything like that. So this is just another way that, we can kind of, keep that community involvement, let them know, hey, we're here. And also, if we can find out something that will help our families, it's a win-win.
Thank you, Michelle. And the two things that I heard from both you and Bill is just the importance of reaching out and the importance of providing resources. The groups that you have sound amazing in your school district. It's really interesting to me that you had also mentioned the Olentangy Family Military Committee, because most people on this call probably don't realize Olentangy is not a city. So it's a massive school district that encompasses a lot of little like towns and burgs and suburbs of more kind of that northern side of Columbus. So that Olentangy Family Military Committee, like, how did you guys create that? Because I think that's a fantastic best practice. But you have, like, for me, I have one city that I exist in, and then the base is right there. So for me to create something like that, it's really easy. But you're talking about a massive school district with many different little burgs, and you brought these people together to help create this committee. So how did you do that?
Well, that was the genius. I mean, again, I participate and help, but that is the genius of my colleague, Jason Durrell. And he's the one that came up with this idea. And all I did was help with it. All he did was he just sent an email out, sent it out to the district. And because we all have different involvements, I'm involved with the USO, so I could bring the USO in. And it just started by sending that email out to everyone and people sending the responses back. And I mean, that's where you start. That's the first step. Send it out, see where the interest is. And you'll be surprised how many people are involved in, especially like what you said, our district. We are about 100 square miles. And so touching base with people in different buildings that you've never seen or met, and you find out, oh wow, I didn't know that you're involved in Blue Star Mothers, and so that's what happened. Just being able to touch base and then get together and meet, and then it just kept growing from there. And someone would talk to someone else. Oh, they'd like to come in and be a guest and talk to people. That's all. It was just just word of mouth via email, technology.
Yeah, that's great. It reminds me of the Lone Dancer, that one email that generated a movement, and it sounds like you guys have a movement in Olentangy. Yeah. So I appreciate you sharing that. One thing that you also mentioned, and I want you to touch on this before we get to our next question or prompt, is that you mentioned Ohio's Purple Star Bulletin, and I know that's beyond just Olentangy or beyond Copley-Fairlawn School District. It encompasses the whole state of Ohio, but it really is a best practice in the state of Ohio. And you're the chief editor of our newsletter, and I'd like you just to share a little bit about that, how you got started, and how we're utilizing this best practice in the state of Ohio.
Well, the Purple Star Bulletin, it started, I think this is our third school year. And it just started because, again, another colleague, it's not my brilliant idea. One of the things that I always like to say is I think a good teacher is like a pirate. You take things from other people and you make it your own. So what happened was another colleague here, Corey O'Brien from Hamilton local schools, he sent out a newsletter just to everybody, just a quick one. And I was talking with him about it. And for some reason or another, in some of these groups I'm in, I end up being the editor. I end up checking over the things. I'm a language teacher and have a lot of experience with doing some editing, and it just kind of fell in my lap. And then, just like everything, you have to talk to people. So I spoke with another colleague, Ashley Tweet from Belleville, local schools near Mansfield, and she suggested using the format of SMORE and put it all together. And the idea behind the Purple Star Bulletin is to kind of be just like a resource where you can learn a little bit while you read it. I have some information about stuff that's coming out from the Military Interstate Children's Compact Commission. In this issue, we've also got a flyer for Month of the Military Child, the Spirit Week. We've got information on acronyms in case you're new. You know, people speak this lingo, TDY, PCS, all these other things, but we've got a little glossary because when you're starting off, it's kind of tough. I didn't really give an introduction of myself too much here, but you know, I've never served. I'm the mother of a veteran, have friends, that's it. So I've learned everything trial by fire, learned it this way. But the Purple Star Bulletin gives us new practices. We've got the recent House bill that was passed. There's information on that. So there's a little bit of professional development in it. Our commissioner, Commissioner Lapiba, he's got his commissioner's corner. So he'll give us his view on what's going on, you know, within our state and nationally. There's some information on at this time about all the Purple Star states, because whether you know it or not, as you're watching this, Ohio has been the catalyst for Purple Star schools. Commissioner Lapiba, people like Chad that have helped to get this whole Purple Star movement rolling. So my vision when I was trying to put this together, I wanted to build on, Corey had a lot of news, but I just wanted it to be more like a resource. It's not something that's current because it's going to come out once or twice a year, but it can point you in the right direction. It's got information on Troops for Teachers and linked to our Google site, which would be the more current way to stay in touch. But it's just more like a resource. It's also got the information from the National Guard. It's got a copy of their booklet. It's got information about the risk facts. So just a lot of information all in one place. And also just wonderful things. You get to meet, each time I try to have a Purple Star liaison. So this time it's Christine Young, and then also meet somebody from the MIC3. So we're going to be meeting Dave Schlar, who is in charge of Troops for Teachers.
Perfect, thank you. Again, I can't express enough how much of a really great practice that is to have that available for all school districts in the state of Ohio. And for all the MIC3 commissioners out there today, base SLOs, school districts, MFLACs, those participating, if you ever want a copy of this, Pete Lapiba, our commissioner, put Michelle's email address in the chat. You're welcome to email Michelle and she can get a copy, a sample of the Purple Star Bulletin out to you. And, if that's something that you would like to replicate in your state, it's just a really, really good tool that showcases the amazing things that we're doing for our military impacted students in the state of Ohio, excuse me. So, I'm sorry, Michelle, go ahead.
Yeah, I was also going to say there's back issues. Someone mentioned something about how to get the Purple Star Bulletin. So if you're a Purple Star school here in Ohio, you will be getting one shortly. And past issues are also available on the Purple Star Google page.
Thank you. So we'll move on to the next prompt in question sets that we have. Everybody on this call, in this meeting today, knows that one of the biggest challenges that we have all faced this school year is transitioning back to in-person learning from whatever model of instruction that your school district had during the 2021 school year. And each school district took a different and unique approach to teaching and learning during the height of COVID. Now that we have all students back in person 5 days a week, we have faced challenges that I don't think anybody has ever anticipated. I would like to know how you have supported your military-connected students and families as they have transitioned back. So I'll start with you, Bill, and maybe you can talk a little bit about that transition back. And then I don't know if you had an opportunity or if you had any students where current parents are deployed. I know a lot of National Guard members have been called up to serve at local hospitals around the state to help out with COVID in the COVID wards. So that's kind of a deployment that looks a little bit different than a traditional deployment that us with active duty bases experience. So Bill, if you could address that, please.
Sure. Yeah, we have not had to experience deployment or with anyone new transitioning to our school. Our school district is a lot of generations. There's not really a lot of move-ins and move-outs. And my school is actually a small elementary school. We only have 250 students. So we really do get a chance to get to know the families really well. So the angle I was going to take with this one, Chad, if it was okay, is, I feel that we've reached out to those families and have supported them. But like my angle right now and our committee's angle is really to make awareness for our other student body, just because it's something that when I hear everyone else's experience on the large numbers of students that you guys are dealing with, obviously like I said, we're at the other end of the spectrum. So coming back to in-person learning, we thought it was really important to connect again. And I'll give an example of our Veterans Day assembly. In the past, we used to have a school-wide assembly where the VFW is invited. A lot of grandparents are invited, anyone that is a veteran. And we really put on about an hour presentation of songs and poems and stuff like that presented by the K-4 students. This year, we decided to change it up a little bit with our committee. So we still have a part of that assembly, but this time we had the veterans going into the classrooms to making that connection with the kids. That way they were able to tell their story and allow the kids to have more of a Q&A since they haven't had that opportunity before. And it was very, very beneficial. And we always did little activities with the kids, like, for example, 1 grade level, painted rocks, the flag. And we give the student or the veterans a little basket before they leave. And the other thing that we do is we provide them with a coffee and pastries at the end. That way all the veterans and our new families and our active duty all have a chance just to sit there as families for about 45 minutes and just sit and have that conversation. And I think sometimes there's that disconnect, at least in our district, is they just don't know who really is out there or who they could reach out to. So we try to provide that awareness to them. And the other thing that we really wanted to do, bringing in the veterans and the grandparents, was allowing people to make that connection. So when the veteran would speak to the class, the child or the student would be with their grandparent or parent or aunt or uncle. And it just kind of made that connection with them. So really our angle with our committee right now is making more of an awareness, whereas I think the angle, what I'm hearing, is really more support.
Thank you, Bill. Michelle, same question.
All right, we have not had anybody deployed for any of these special assignments, helping out or anything like that. In fact, we haven't had anybody deployed for over a year. So we've been really blessed in that matter. But what I go back to is we, similar to what Bill was talking about, we have done a program in the fall where for veterans, where we had our veterans come in. It's a tradition that we've had going. It was a little smaller scale than what it was in the past, and we did a veterans parade. But we haven't really had to face the deployment thing or anything, truly tragic going on right now, other than the typical military difficulties of PCSing. And that's where what really helps is the fact that the kids can lean on each other in our group when we meet. And then the other thing is that whenever I send out and let the staff know that there's a meeting going on, I send out a spreadsheet, and the staff members know which kids are military connected, which ones are involved in the group, because again, not all the kids are involved in the group. So, trying to make sure that even if they aren't involved in the group, that they are getting support and they are identified with staff members so they can be looking out for them.
That's a great practice, Michelle. And it's always interesting for me to hear from, my colleagues in different school districts, such as you and Bill, because for us, we have NFLACs that serve our school district, that support our families. where, students are going, or their parents are going TDY, or, they're being deployed, they're PCSing to a new base. So there's a whole transitional piece that we have in place that you guys have to kind of build that capacity internally, and it looks a little bit different. So it's great to hear all the resources that both you and Bill and your school districts are providing for our military impacted students. I'm super excited. The month of the military child will be here before we know it. That will be in April. And Ohio's MIC3 recently announced a Spirit Week, April 11th through the 15th. So I'm just curious, Michelle, what are your plans for this week? And are you doing anything different than you did last year?
Well, the problem we have is the 15th, we're having to adjust our week, because this year, the 15th, in case you're not aware, the 15th is Good Friday. So we won't be in school that day, which is Purple Up Day, which is terrible. So we're right now in the process of planning how we're going to go around that. But we are always looking for an excuse to have spirit and dress up and support. So we will be doing the full week of each day celebrating in one way or another, following pretty much what I'll be sending out in the Purple Star Bulletin. We'll have a red day, remember everyone deployed, etc. But beyond that, I'd hoped, I don't know, it depends. I wanted to do a field trip for my kids, but I'm just not sure whether that's going to end up being feasible or not. I mean, it's really, I feel very sad because my 6th graders, who are now 8th graders, went on that field trip with me, and I was really hoping that we could do something in Month of the Military Child and support them that way. So still kind of trying to work on that, get the school involved through the Spirit Week, but also do something special for them. So that's, I've been speaking with my dedicated veteran, and we're trying to figure something out right now.
Thank you, Michelle. And Bill, before I get to you, I should have referenced this. So in terms of best practices, the Purple Star, the Spirit Week, I'm sorry, for the month of the military child, which came out of our MIC3 council, our state council, in terms of best practices. I mean, I think about that, and what a great practice where you have the entire state participating in the same week during the school year to celebrate our military impacted students and families. So Michelle, I appreciate you sharing what you do at your school. Bill, I'm curious what you're doing at your school this year.
Yeah, our committee so far, it's still in the works, but right now what we have planned is definitely to have a theme week that week. We're looking also with the purple. Honestly, glad you brought that up about Good Friday, because we didn't even look at the calendar. So we will need to look at that. We also do fax over the announcements each morning. So we'll do that week. And then the other thing that we have done that we'll continue to do is our military child that's in the 4th grade. We do ask that individual if they're comfortable to speak to classrooms about what it's like to be a military child. To the best of their experience, they're still young, so they don't have that vast background, but they still have memories and, a parent being gone. So we do give them that opportunity to speak to their classmates.
So from our conversation today, and I just want to touch on a couple things before I ask both Bill and Michelle to just share any other information they'd like to share in regards to best practices. Things that I heard that are great takeaways that I hope everybody had the opportunity to also engage in this part. It's really cool that a best practice in the state of Ohio is a statewide Purple Star Bulletin publication that goes out a couple of times a year, celebrating and sharing the great things that we have in place for our military impacted students and families. Having a statewide Spirit Week where every single school district, the 600 plus school districts in the state of Ohio, participate in a Spirit Week to celebrate our military impacted families and students is just really amazing. And I just want to give a shout out to the MIC3 Commission and our Purple Star Committee for this work to allow for these best practices to take place. Because again, I think about the lone dancer. We had a lone dancer named Pete Lapiba, who was a commissioner for the state of Ohio, our military impacted council, MIC3 council. And, you know, through him, a lot of these things were created. So I do want to give a big shout out to Pete Lapiba, our MIC3 commissioner. But some other things that both Bill and Michelle shared, which I think are really important best practices. Both of you talked about the importance of support through resources, groups, and committees. And the one thing, Michelle, that you mentioned that I really loved, and I know a lot of states engage in this, but having a veteran be a part of a group or a committee to be the living history of their experience, their military experience is amazing. In Europe, you can actually check a person out, and it's almost like a biographical experience with that person, like you check out a library book. So just to hear that as a best practice as well, and again, I know a lot of people probably do that, is really, really cool, especially for students, again, that are in a school district that is impacted in a different way than a district like mine, where, you know, we're heavily military impacted, and we have an active duty base attached to us with base housing within our school district, which is unique in the state of Ohio. So Bill and Michelle, anything else you would like to share in regards to best practices that you guys have within your school district to help support your colleagues participating in the conversation today?
I wanted to share just something else, you know, just ways that that you can support the schools, you know, for, you know, administrators, superintendents, et cetera. One thing that our district does, which is very helpful to all of us, you know, liaisons in the different buildings, our district maintains our website. Our Purple Star with all of the resources, and it's a great link, and it's fantastic because, you know, that's not something that each one of us individually has to worry about. So we are able to submit, if we have find out about a new resource or a new idea, we can submit it to someone in our central office, and they will make it, you know, be part of this this web page that we have that's on our community page for parents, et cetera. So that's really extremely helpful. And then the other thing that's very helpful is our district statistician is wonderful about sending out the information. You know, the parents, some of them do actually fill out that they are military connected. And so our district statistician sends us that info out to each school to let us know these are the ones that are identified. And then, of course, then the challenge is all the ones that have, you know, kind of slipped through the cracks. And that's where having these breakfast meetings and the kids hear on the announcements, military kids, and, you know, so, and actually I wanted to say, Bill, I just got another idea. Every idea I have is not original. Everything I have, I've taken from somebody. And Bill, I like that idea about making announcements about facts. So I think we might try that out. But again, my meeting with my kids for eating, I copied that idea from Ashley Tweet. Asking a veteran and asking around for funding, that I got that idea from, you know, Ashley as well. So these types of opportunities where we can talk to each other, find out, you know, who might be able to help us. But the VFW, American Legion, all these groups, they're willing to help anybody who supports, you know, the military. They're wonderful. But they funded our field trip, so it's fantastic.
And Michelle, to piggyback off of that, that's someone mentioned it yesterday or Monday in one of our town halls, that just to steal an idea. And since I've been a part of this, I've done that a lot. I've learned so much, and I just can't thank everybody enough that has played a key role in this. And thank you to Chip for reaching out and asking me to be a part of a panel. I was nervous at first because I really am at that other end of that spectrum. And you know, but I mean, this group is just incredible, and just the commitment that everybody has is just outstanding, and it says a lot. And I just can't thank you guys enough for always being willing to share, because I really have. I've stole a lot of ideas, and I bring them to our committee meetings, and we discuss it. And, you know, when that time comes that maybe we have a deployment, I feel comfortable that we're ready. And if I'm not, I feel comfortable that I can reach out to any one of you and get some ideas, or you know, just to kind of have a shoulder to, or an ear to listen as I kind of talk things through. So everything you guys do is greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Michelle and Bill. The last thing that I'll say before we open it up for questions is when I started on MIC3 on the state council 8 years ago, the only people that really knew about MIC3 were those school districts that were heavily impacted by the military. So really it was mainly the school districts around Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio. Otherwise, MIC3 really wasn't visible, even though it was out there. And the Purple Star School movement has completely opened the door for sharing information and getting the MIC3 commission out there, in the term MIC3 out there, so families know there is this state council that is out there to support our military impacted families as they move and transition. And that's really the purpose of that group. And it's so nice to have this connection between the Purple Star schools and MIC3 and that collaboration in order to just shed light on what the purpose of MIC3 is. So it brought MIC3 to life. And I know that's something that a lot of states, it's a challenge for states because a lot of families aren't aware of MIC3, and this created that awareness. So the Purple Star schools being an extension of MIC3 has just been an amazing experience and a great opportunity for the state of Ohio. So those states on the call today that are still working through the Purple Star process, don't give up the fight, keep working hard, because it really is a great opportunity to share, support, and just become one and united in supporting our military families. So with that said, do we have any questions from the participants today for our panel members? Okay, this is from Pete LaPiba, the commissioner for the state of Ohio, so I'm going to let him answer this. What is the composition? Members of MIC3 Council, Purple Star Advisory Board. Pete, you're fast with the fingers. Where are you?
Oh, was that for me?
Yeah.
Yes, that's for you.
That was for the panel. So the quick of it is, obviously it is a statute that obviously has recommendations for a high impact school district superintendent, a military families liaison, etc. So that's how we came into being as far as July of 2009. And of course, the first commissioner stood up a superb state council in Tom Rutan, who served 51 years in public education. But we knew that there were friends, there were ex officios, if you will, that would serve in this mission, the sacred shared mission. So therefore the USO is part of it, but also the professional educator associations, right? So the school counselors, the high school principals associations. So those executive directors sit on the council, as well as uniformed services. Obviously, Lieutenant Colonel Hill representing Wright-Patterson Air Force, as well as other components, nonprofits, etc. So I think we have a robust all-volunteer state council and advisory board that makes things happen, along with great colleagues at the Ohio Department of Education, Valerie Kunze, the Ohio Department of Veterans Services, Chris Pica, the Office of the Governor, the Honorable Mike DeWine, his military families and veterans liaison, herself a veteran, Tammy Puff, and on down the list. Even the Ohio Department of Higher Education, as well as Chip Merkel with the Ohio Air and Army National Guard. Keep in mind, these are entities. The MIC3 law is not reflective of higher education, but that community here in Ohio said we want to be a part of it, the colleges and university level, and there they are. So all you have to do is ask, and I have yet to hear anyone say no to being on Team Ohio. Thank you.
Yeah, if I wanted to just piggyback on what Commissioner LaPiba just said, and just from having the experience of going to the annual business meeting of the MIC3, the composition of our council is very different than most councils. Most councils only have a few members on it. If you look at that diverse group that Commissioner LaPiba was just describing, that's why Ohio is moving forward and able to do so much, because we have so many invested folks that take part of this and really truly care about our military connected kids and their families.
we did have some nice shares in the chat as well. In one, it's a Nevada share where you can see a school in Nevada's banner in the video. That was shared with us. There was a question, and I believe it was answered, about the Purple Star designation. Is that like a per district thing, or is that more of a ODE involved thing? So the district actually applies for the designation through ODE, and it's facilitated through the Ohio Department of Education. And I believe that is that's kind of answered within the chat somewhere, but I didn't know if the person that had posted that saw that or not. So ODE, or the Ohio Department of Education, is heavily involved in the Purple Star designation. And again, it's that collective effort in the state of Ohio to really celebrate our military impacted students and families.
Hey, Chad, I just want to say one thing. It's Chip Merkel with the Ohio National Guard. One of the main things that makes this so successful here in Ohio is the sharing of ideas and passing those on to other school districts. And one of the things that we do here in Ohio is at the beginning of the school year, we will have a couple of roundtables where what we do is we bring the school POCs, Purple Star POCs together and give them an opportunity to share what they're doing in their buildings with each other. And over the years, that's been pretty successful. And a lot of people get a lot out of it. So that's one thing that I just wanted to share what we're doing. It's a good practice that we do here in Ohio. And since COVID, and we used to do it in person, but we do it virtually now. It's a great way to get people from across the state together and share what they're doing, and especially the best practices and the challenges. And probably the biggest challenge is identifying these kids. And there's all kinds of ways of being able to do that are shared at these roundtables. So I just wanted to pass that on. So does anybody else have any questions for our panel? We have one, let's see, in Nevada, we do schools and they apply, but if a district has all the schools designated, they will name them a Purple Star district. That's pretty cool. Good job, Nevada. All right. Another thing I'd like to share is yesterday it was brought to mention that not only, are we lucky that we have Michelle's Bulletin, but we also have a Purple Star Facebook page, which, people can go to and check things out and, like us, and, it's Facebook. What can I say? And also, Ashley Tweed from Clear Fork Valley School District up near Mansfield, she has developed a Google page, which we'll see if we can go ahead and put the link up here in the chat for people, which is really nice. It's just got all kinds of stuff on it. There's titles of books that people are sharing. So let me see if I can find that and put it up here.
I did share that link on here.
Okay, do we have any other questions for our panelists today?
I don't have a question. I do have a comment, though. Is Dave Scalar, the Troops
Hey,
Teacher
Dave.
Program
Hi, Dave.
Coordinator. Dr. Lewis. How you doing? I know with this forum, especially with CHIP, we tend to focus on the Army National Guard and Air National Guard, and with the active duty base at Wright Pat, the United States Air Force. But there's also a host of other reserve component service members that serve in the Army Reserve, Navy Reserve, Marine Reserve, and Air Force Reserve, which is separate from the from the Air National Guard. And in my last command, which was commanded a group in Nashville, Tennessee, that supported Fort Benning, the reserve component members have this thing called a job. So when they deploy, they not only have to separate from their family, they all have to separate from this thing that pays their bills and pays their mortgage. And in some cases, they take a heck of a pay cut. They go from an executive down to, in some cases, a sergeant E6 or maybe lower. So deployments do cause a lot of stress, and Purple Star, with the support they provide to the kids, is one less thing that those parents have to worry about as they deploy, because they know they've got a friend within those schools to assist those kids.
Thank you, Dave. Any other questions or comments?
Hello.
All right. Yes.
Hello. Hi. I'm Barb Barbo from St. Albert up near Cleveland. I just wanted to mention that we right now have very few active duty parents and just a few reservists, but we've done a lot of outreach with the community. And so we get our whole school involved with supporting our veterans and our troops overseas. And that has ignited a patriotism in our students and an acknowledgement of the sacrifice and value that our troops and veterans have, given to our nation. And so, although we don't have a lot of active duty and reservists, we're very involved with the present military active duty, especially our troops. We send a lot of boxes and goodies overseas, and also help fund some projects for our veterans that are struggling.
I appreciate you sharing that, Barb, because I think that's the other side of this as well. We think of this sometimes that, it's all about serving the military students, which that has a huge component of this, but it's also what are our students doing to help our active duty or reservist or guard members who are out in the field and doing the work and protecting, our country, and being able to support them through care packages, cards, those type of things. That's a huge piece to all of this that we have in place in the state of Ohio. So I appreciate you sharing that. Okay, any additional questions or comments? Well, I appreciate everybody's time today. A big thank you to both Michelle and Bill for participating and being our panelists today. You guys did an amazing job, and I appreciate both of you guys sharing your stories. A big thanks to both Chip Merkel and Pete LaPiba. Without those two, I don't know that any of this would even happen. They're a huge part of what we do in serving our military families and our students here in the state of Ohio. So I appreciate everybody that's participated today. And if there's no more comments or questions, we'll go ahead and adjourn for the day.
Thanks, Chad. You guys did a great job. We really appreciate your time and effort in putting today's session together. With that said, if nobody else has anything else to add, we can adjourn. So have a great day. And for those people here in Ohio, I hope you weather the storm that is coming. You do well, because it sounds like a doozy. It heading our way. So, all right, that's it. We're done. We're out of here. Thank you, everybody, for showing up today. Bye.